SOHC, the International Automotive Program, with Tony Whitney and Jeremy Cato.
Welcome to the show. Well, Jeremy, we've got two cars this week that could hardly be more different.
You know, both make a statement, and both have their own little quirks and peculiarities.
Well, as far as the Del Sol goes, Honda's claiming this car is unique, but I'll talk more about that later.
A Civic for all buyers in all shapes and sizes, driving in all types of seasons. It looks like that's where Honda's going with its Civic line. And the Civic for the sunny season is the Del Sol. This is the sometimes roofless Civic, a two-seat open roadster which Honda insiders say is not a car in which to relive your youth, but rather a car for youthful people. And who are those people? Well, I'm told they're traditional Civic buyers, of course, as well as buyers of various two-seaters, 2+2 sporty cars, and ragtops. Put Mazda's Miata at the top of that list and leave it there. Now, we're also told that the Del Sol is different from all of them. And of course, Honda says the Del Sol is so different it will create its own place in the market. Well, there are some different things about the Del Sol, the top and how it's stored being the most obvious. The styling and available colors, including a Kermit the Frog green, are also attention seekers. We'll get to all that, but first some facts are in order. Two models comprise the Del Sol lineup: the base S model and the more powerful Del Sol SI, priced at $18,895. The SI is powered by a 1.6-liter 16-valve four-cylinder with variable valve timing. It produces a smooth 125 horsepower. The standard transmission is a 5-speed manual, while optional is a 4-speed electronically controlled automatic. Expect times for 0 to 100 kilometers an hour to fall in at about 8.5 seconds. Fuel economy for the SI with manual is rated at 8.3 city, 6.5 highway liters per 100 kilometers. I spent a lot of time in both Del Sol models, but our test vehicle was an SI. Tony, you and I first tested this car together, and we agreed that it's a fun-to-drive car. The aerodynamic qualities of the Del Sol are excellent as well. We were surprised at how two people can carry on a normal conversation traveling at 100 kilometers per hour with the top off and the rear window down. And take note of that rear window, because it really makes a difference in keeping wind noise and buffeting to a minimum. And what about that top? It's a 23-pound aluminum roof panel that can be removed with the flip of two latches and stored in the trunk. Total time from start to open-air motoring, about 45 seconds. When the roof panel is removed, it stores and locks nicely in a custom-designed frame in the trunk. The whole operation is simplicity itself. My only warning is that this operation might be a handful for one person to do all alone. The trunk itself is larger than you'd expect. Empty, it will hold at least 3 sets of golf clubs. With the top stored, trunk capacity is still large enough to carry 3 mid-sized suitcases. The Del Sol's roomy cabin comes equipped with an assortment of little storage bins and an integrated drink holder. I've long given Honda top marks for designing instruments and controls. The Del Sol is no exception. There's also an airbag for the driver. As well, dash vents abound, which is great for those sunny but coolish fall days when you want to do some open-air motoring with the heater on. Most welcome are knee-level vents for the driver and passenger. On the open highway with the roof panel off, the Del Sol rides and handles more like a coupe than a convertible. Yes, there is some cowl shake and shudder on rougher roads, and no, it doesn't handle like an Acura NSX. But in spirited driving, it remains predictable and confidence-inspiring. The Del Sol comes loaded with power features, and that top is just great. I just wonder if the market for a car like this is already saturated. Anyway, I give it a driving dollar value of 3/4 of a tank. Tony, we both spent a lot of time together testing this car, and we found a lot of interesting quirks in this car.
Well, that's true, and I think right off the bat, I'm going to say this is a wonderful product. Only Honda, it seems, can come up with things like this. Isn't it hard to imagine a North American company coming up with something that's completely different? Well, I say different, but referring back to something I mentioned earlier, this car really is a recreation of the old Fiat X19 or the Porsche 914, cars of the 70s that I think are missed.
Well, and it's entering into a saturated marketplace. I think the popularity of these kinds of Targa soft top things, I think it's on the wane, and I can see them having a difficult time selling these in any great numbers.
Well, I don't agree. I think that this concept is very, very sound. I've always liked the idea of having a car that really was a hard top, and you could take that lid off and stow it so neatly. In the case of this one, I mean, it really does stow away very neatly.
Okay, but you got to have a friend, because it's not an easy top to store on your own and take off on your own. It only weighs 23 pounds, but it's an awkward 23 pounds. And if you do it in a wind, it's like a sail, and you'll go flying off.
Well, it is difficult, and I think because at least half of these cars will be sold to women, and some of them may not like to haul that big, heavy, but hopefully they've got a friend who can help them with it, you know. But one thing I must take issue with you here, 3 sets of golf clubs in the trunk of that. You must be, this must be a pitch and putt set of clubs, Jeremy.
Well, I did get 3 sets of golf clubs in there. Now, I don't have an Arnold Palmer set, and it's not elaborate, but it's enough. Now, keep in mind that the Japanese are very big fans of golfing, and they're going to make room for golf clubs in there.
And also that nobody would put 3 sets of golf clubs.
But if you're going to bring up the trunk, let's be fair, and even with the top in there, you don't lose very much space in that trunk, and it's really a neat little way that they've designed that frame in there.
It can't be more than an inch or 2 deeper when you put the lid in the trunk, and of course the lid's not going to be there all the time anyway. It's a very, very neat system, and I must applaud it, and I think the car's great. One thing we noticed when we drove the car together on the freeway, you can take this thing up to freeway speeds, and as long as the little rear window is lowered, the air just flows right through the top and out the back, and you can talk at fairly normal levels. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that rear window is a nifty idea because it makes all the difference, and we said to each other when we were driving that it's unbelievable how easy it is to have a conversation in a car doing freeway speeds.
Well, it should have much more wind noise, of course, and it doesn't. I mean, the car is... Personally, I don't like the styling that much. I've got to be honest here. I mean, I like the car and the concept. I'm not that happy. It's a kind of stubby little jelly bean looking thing, you know, and I'm not wild about it. It looks better in the metal than in pictures. It looks better on our film than it does in actual photographs you see in magazines. But on the other hand, I'm not wild about the styling. But otherwise, it's a great concept.
Well, you know, it's a compromise. They've taken a basic Civic car and just kind of smoothed things out, tidied up a little thing, and made it into a Targa. And on that point, we have to go to red light, green light. What I didn't like about the car, well, it's pricey, and it's a saturated market as it is, and the top is difficult for one person to take down. On the plus side, the interior is really well designed, and the top doesn't use up all the trunk when you store it, and of course it's fun to drive. If you're in the marketplace for a vehicle like this, consider the Mazda Miata and the Toyota MR2.
Well, I'm still a Miata fan, Jeremy. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Nancy Gertzen and Auto Info.